Have you ever looked at your bank account at the end of the month and thought, where did it all go? You're careful, you're not buying extravagant things, but somehow money feels shorter than it used to. That feeling can be unsettling, especially after retirement. We spend decades working, saving, and planning, and then suddenly we're supposed to live on a fixed income, with prices going up and unexpected expenses always showing up. It can feel like no matter how carefully you stretch each dollar, it just doesn't stretch far enough. If you've ever felt that way, I want to tell you something right now. You're not alone. Many people in their 60s, 70s, and beyond share this experience. And it's not because they've done something wrong. It's because life changes after retirement. Our routines change, our income changes, and sometimes our sense of security feels a little shakier than before. But here's the beautiful part. There are ways to ease that worry, to create a little extra breathing room without turning your life upside down. That's exactly what we're going to talk about today. Simple, realistic, and gentle ways to bring in a bit of extra income without leaving your home. I want you to imagine this conversation as if we were sitting at your kitchen table together, with a cup of tea or coffee, sharing ideas. Not complicated formulas, not big promises, but real-life possibilities that might bring both financial relief and even joy into your days. Let me start with a story. A neighbor of mine, Helen, is 72 and loves knitting. She used to make scarves and blankets just for her family because it gave her comfort and kept her hands busy. One day, her granddaughter suggested that she share her work online. At first, Helen laughed. "Who will buy my scarves?" she said. But after some encouragement, she tried listing a few items on a simple craft website. To her surprise, people loved them. She didn't become rich overnight, but she started bringing in enough to cover some of her grocery bills and even treat herself occasionally. More importantly, she felt proud. She realized that something she already loved doing could also help her financially, and she didn't even need to leave her living room. That's one of the most beautiful parts of exploring extra income after 60. You don't need to reinvent yourself. You don't need to chase a new career or exhaust yourself with work that drains your energy. Sometimes the very things you already enjoy, the hobbies and skills you've carried for years, can become little streams of income that support your life in this new chapter. I know another gentleman, Peter, who was a history teacher before retirement. He missed sharing stories and guiding others, but he wasn't interested in going back into a classroom full-time. One day, his son showed him how to sign up for an online tutoring platform. He started offering short history sessions from his computer, just a couple of hours a week. To his delight, not only did he earn a little extra money, but he also rediscovered the joy of teaching, connecting with students from all over the country. It gave him purpose, routine, and financial comfort, all from the desk in his living room. Now, maybe you're listening and thinking, that sounds great, but I don't have special skills or talents. Let me pause you there. You absolutely do. Every person has something they can share, whether it's experience, creativity, organization, or even just time. Maybe you're great at baking and could sell a few pies or cookies to friends and neighbors. Maybe you've mastered the art of keeping plants alive and could offer guidance to people who struggle with gardening. Maybe you're wonderful with words and could help someone write letters, stories, or even organize their memories into a small family book. These aren't small things, they're valuable, and they can bring joy to you and to others, while also adding to your income. And here's something that often surprises people. Earning a little extra from home isn't just about the money. Yes, the financial help matters, but it's also about how it makes you feel. When Helen sold her first scarf, she lit up with excitement. When Peter taught his first online lesson, he felt alive again. When you find a way to bring in extra income through something you enjoy, you feel useful, connected, and proud. Those feelings are priceless, especially at this stage of life, when society sometimes forgets how much wisdom, creativity, and value you carry inside you. Of course, I know there's also hesitation. Many people worry about technology, about whether they can keep up, about whether they're too old to try something new. Let me tell you something important. You're not too old. The world has changed, yes, but technology today is designed to be simpler and more accessible than ever before. And you don't need to become a tech expert overnight. You can start small, learn at your own pace, and often ask for help from children, grandchildren, or even friends. What matters isn't perfection, it's the willingness to try. Think of it this way. Starting something new now is like planting a small seed. At first, it feels uncertain. You wonder if it will grow, if it will bloom. But with a little patience, encouragement, and care, that seed can turn into something beautiful, something that not only brings you comfort, but maybe even surprise. And each seed, each small effort, is worth planting because you never know how much joy it might bring. So, as we sit here talking about money feeling short after retirement, I want you to remember this. You are not powerless. You have options, you have value, and you have opportunities that don't require you to leave your home or change who you are. Sometimes, all it takes is looking at what you already love, what you already know, and finding gentle ways to share it with the world. And that's what I want to explore with you. Practical, simple, heartwarming ways to bring in a little extra income from the comfort of your own space. You might be surprised at how possible it really is. You know, sometimes the simplest ideas are the ones that make the biggest difference. I remember talking with a retired couple, Maria and John, who loved cooking. They always prepared meals for themselves and occasionally for friends or neighbors. One day, Maria jokingly said, "What if we could turn this into something more?" They started offering a few homemade meals to their local community. At first, it was just a few orders a week, but it grew steadily. They were earning a little extra income, yes, but what surprised them the most was how much joy it brought to share something they loved doing. They weren't leaving their home, they weren't overworking, and yet they had found a meaningful way to contribute, feel productive, and support themselves financially. And the beauty of this is that it doesn't have to be elaborate. Sometimes it's about looking at the skills or hobbies that have been part of your life for decades and realizing they have value beyond just enjoyment. Maybe you've spent years perfecting your knitting, your woodworking, or your painting. Maybe you have a green thumb and people would love your advice on caring for their plants. These small, everyday passions often become opportunities that others are willing to pay for, and they can be done without stepping outside your home. I also want to talk about the joy of sharing knowledge. For example, David, a retired accountant, found that people in his community often needed help understanding taxes or budgets. He started offering short, friendly online sessions to explain things clearly without jargon. He wasn't trying to replace professionals, but he offered guidance based on his experience. People loved it. It became a steady source of extra income. Beyond the money, he felt energized by using his skills to help others, and he built new friendships in the process. Another important thing to remember is that your life experience is one of your greatest assets. You've lived through decades of change, learned lessons the hard way, and built wisdom that younger people might lack. Sharing that wisdom can take many forms: writing short guides, recording small lessons or tips, mentoring someone online, or even offering advice through a blog or social media page. It doesn't have to be complicated. The key is to start small, experiment, and focus on what you enjoy. I also know that technology can feel intimidating. Maybe you've heard of online marketplaces, apps, or virtual platforms and thought, "I could never figure that out." But the truth is, you don't have to. There are plenty of resources, tutorials, and even family members who can walk you through it. And you don't have to start with anything big, just a small, manageable step. Sometimes, opening an account, listing one item, or offering one service is enough to get the momentum going. It's like dipping your toe into a calm stream before deciding to swim. And here's something wonderful I've noticed. Once people start, they often discover hidden talents they didn't know they had. Take Clara, for instance. She always loved organizing things, but never considered it a skill. After retiring, she started helping neighbors organize closets, pantries, and home offices. She enjoyed it, and soon enough, word spread. What began as a small, local effort grew into a modest, consistent source of income. And more importantly, she felt proud of creating value without leaving her house or overexerting herself. Sometimes, these opportunities don't just add financial comfort. They also bring structure to your days. Retirement can be wonderful, but it can also feel unstructured. Having a small project, even if it's just a few hours a week, gives rhythm to your day a sense of purpose, and a reason to wake up excited. And when that project also brings in a little extra money, it's like a double gift, emotional fulfillment and financial support at the same time. And let's not forget the social aspect. Even when these activities are done from home, they often involve interacting with other people, clients, neighbors, students, or customers. This connection is invaluable. It keeps your mind active, your spirit engaged, and it reminds you that you're contributing something meaningful to the world, even after decades of living and working. One more example comes to mind. Richard, a retired engineer, loved solving puzzles and brain teasers. He started creating small online quizzes and puzzles for educational websites. At first, it was just for fun, but he discovered that people were willing to pay for well-crafted, challenging content. Richard earned a small income and, most importantly, he felt alive again, engaging his mind in ways he loved, helping others learn, and getting financial benefit, all without leaving his home, gave him a renewed sense of independence and confidence. So, if you're listening and thinking about whether this is really possible for you, I want you to remember this. It doesn't matter if you've never sold anything online before, never tutored anyone, or never turned a hobby into income. What matters is curiosity, willingness to try, and openness to small steps. These tiny actions, repeated consistently, can build into a meaningful stream of extra income and, even more importantly, into a life filled with purpose, joy, and engagement. As we come to the heart of this conversation, I want you to take a deep breath and just reflect for a moment. All the examples we've talked about, the knitting, the tutoring, the cooking, the organizing, even creating puzzles, share something important. They're small, meaningful ways to bring in extra income without leaving your home, and they also bring joy, purpose, and confidence. The common thread is not about chasing money. It's about using what you already know, what you already love, and the skills you've built over a lifetime. It's about letting those talents work for you quietly and effectively, and seeing how empowering that can be. I know it can feel intimidating at first. What if I fail? What if it's too complicated? Those thoughts are natural, and you are allowed to feel them. But the truth is, starting small removes the pressure. You don't need to master everything overnight. You don't need to commit hours that drain your energy. Even dedicating just a few minutes a day or a couple of hours a week to a project that feels right for you can lead to meaningful results, financially, emotionally, and mentally. I want you to picture this. You wake up in the morning knowing that you have something to do that brings you joy. It might be creating a scarf, helping someone with a task they find challenging, sharing your wisdom online, or even making a simple meal for a neighbor. Not only are you earning a little extra income, but you're also staying active, connected, and purposeful. That feeling of accomplishment, of making your days count, is something that no amount of money alone can provide. And that, my friend, is the real gift of exploring opportunities for income at home after retirement. Think about the confidence that comes from realizing you can still contribute, that you are still capable of learning, teaching, creating, and sharing. Each small success builds on the last, slowly but surely. You might find that what began as a tiny side project blossoms into something more. Maybe more income, maybe more friendships, maybe just more self-assurance. And it all starts with the willingness to try, to take one gentle step forward, and to believe in the value of what you already have inside you. I also want to remind you of another important point. Doing something from home gives you freedom. You don't have to worry about commuting, rigid schedules, or overworking your body. You set the pace. You choose the tasks that bring you joy. You balance your life with care, prioritizing energy, health, and relationships. And yet, even within that gentle rhythm, you're creating a tangible benefit, money that supports your lifestyle, provides peace of mind, and even allows you to indulge in little pleasures that make life sweeter. It's a subtle shift, but a powerful one. The feeling of control over your time, your skills, and your income is immensely rewarding. You realize that age does not limit your creativity or your ability to contribute. You have a lifetime of experience, a wealth of knowledge and passions that can translate into value in ways that are practical, enjoyable, and sustaining. So as we end this conversation, I want to leave you with a thought that is both simple and profound. You have everything you need to start today. You have skills, you have interests, you have wisdom, and you have the freedom to take small steps that can lead to big rewards. And each action you take, no matter how small it seems, builds momentum. It's like planting seeds in a garden. At first, you might see nothing, but with time, care, and patience, those seeds grow into something beautiful, something that nurtures both your life and your independence. Before we close, I want to invite you to share your own experiences. Have you tried something at home that brought in a little extra income? Or perhaps you've thought about starting, but weren't sure how? Leave a comment below. I would love to hear your story. Sharing these experiences not only helps you reflect, but it might also inspire someone else watching to take their first step. And if you know a friend, neighbor, or family member who could benefit from this conversation, share this video with them. Sometimes one idea, one gentle nudge can make a world of difference. Remember, life after 60 is not just about managing. It's about thriving. It's about feeling alive, connected, and capable. It's about making choices that honor your energy, your experience, and your independence. Each small step you take toward earning a little extra income, toward exploring your passions, and toward staying active and engaged is a celebration of all that you are. So, go ahead, take that first gentle step today. You don't need to rush, you don't need to have it all figured out, but you can begin. And as you do, you'll discover something remarkable. Earning a little extra from home can bring not just financial comfort, but a renewed sense of purpose, pride, and joy. The life you want, one full of energy, choice, and happiness, is entirely within your reach. You've earned every moment of freedom and fulfillment in this chapter of life. And now, it's time to embrace it fully, with curiosity, confidence, and the excitement of knowing that even after 60, you can continue to grow, contribute, and thrive.